Well, good morning. Welcome to Lucore Automotive. Obviously, we are not at Lucore Automotive. We are back at CIA Performance. And this thing behind me, which you have seen recently, we took it apart, put it back together again. We took it apart, put it back together again. But it's prettier. Look at all that. So, the last time we had this thing on the dyno, it had a stock throttle body, stock intake manifold, and breathing through this exact same air box. Now we have a fast 92 millimeter intake manifold and a fast 92 millimeter throttle body. Also, we upgraded to some shiny valve covers and some MSD blaster coils. Probably won't get a lot of extra horsepower out of the blaster coils and the shiny valve cover, but you never know. So the goal today is going to see if we can get this thing to hit 400 wheel horsepower on this dyno. If you're interested, it's going to be interesting. Stay tuned. All right, so as I said, this car was recently on this exact same dyno. What, about 6 months ago? Less than that?
Yeah, 4 months or something.
4 or 5 months ago, we put this car together. Ben wanted more power, so we took the car back apart again. So it has gone through a whole process as far as upgrades. If you haven't seen those yet, I will link those to you right now. Pause this video and go back and watch exactly what was done. But essentially, this is a beautifully assembled RX-7. That is a Thompson Motorsports short block, AFR cathedral port heads, fast 92 millimeter throttle body, fast 92 millimeter intake manifold, RPM transmission, T56 transmission. It's a really, really nice car. Other than the fact that it's absolutely gorgeous, it actually sounds really nice as well. We did cut out the Borla mid-muffler that was in this thing and replaced that with a Vibrant Performance small resonator pipe. It's loud, but it's not obnoxious, but it's also gorgeous. You can't really tell because it's a little bit covered in road salt and stuff because it's Ohio in the winter, but absolutely gorgeous car. So last time we had this thing here, we made 376.
Yeah.
376 wheel horsepower.
370 wheel torque.
And 370 wheel torque. So the goal today is going to be we want to hit that magic 400 horsepower number. I think it's very possible. Typically speaking, I think fast lists this intake manifold is picking up about 20 horsepower. So we're going to test that. So if anybody's interested in buying one of these things and seeing exactly what it's going to do, we'll do your homework for you. I'm going to shut up, let Eric crank this thing up and get his work done, and we'll do some dyno video stuff. A lot of these dyno videos, they're kind of long because we actually include a lot of the other stuff other than just dyno runs to give you an appreciation of what a dyno tuning experience is really like. Most of your videos online, when you see a dyno tune, it's like 45 seconds of it pulling on the dyno and it makes the number and you see the graph and everybody's excited, yay, there you go. You don't see all of the really painful, annoying parts about tuning the car and how long it really takes. Now in this case, it's not going to be that big of a deal because we don't have to redo the entire tune. It is going to be gulping more air because of the larger intake manifold, the larger throttle body, the new IAC. All of that stuff needs to be reprogrammed, but for the most part, we have the car sorted out really, really well, so Eric's just going to make some adjustments. So we'll probably be in and out of here in like 2 hours versus like 5 or 6 hours, which is generally what most times a full tuning appointment takes. So if you're ever wondering why you pay so much for a tune, it's because it takes him a long time to figure all this stuff out. Sounds so good. So remember how just like moments ago I was like, yeah, we're gonna fire it up, we're gonna make some dyno pulls, and I'm not gonna show you all the crazy behind the scenes stuff. So we have discovered that the throw on the throttle cable does not open the throttle blades all the way. And there are some adjustments you can make to said throttle cable. However, we are out of adjustments and we only have probably 60 to 70% of the throttle blade open, which is not going to work. So now we got to figure out how to fix that problem. Go down and come back up.
All right, you can let go.
We used a very technical spring, or shim. Well, we had to use some sketchy engineering techniques in order to get to 400 wheel horsepower, but we got there. So we're gonna play around with a few things as far as timing and AFRs go. We don't want to get too aggressive on this because this is going to be a street-driven car and it's going to be driven very aggressively. So putting it up right on the ragged edge doesn't make a lot of sense. But at least at this point in time, we have hit our 400 wheel horsepower mark. Now, something interesting, as I mentioned earlier, that we are fighting with the throttle cable on this is the throttle cable is binding and it's not allowing it to go to full wide open. It's only opening the blades, I believe, like 73%. So there's a few degrees there where that blade needs to really open. That'll probably also find us some extra power. Now, we did a little bit of questionable engineering in order to be able to open those blades just a little bit further, and that did find us like 7 more horsepower. So clearly there's a little bit of a restriction in that system, but there's really no safe way to try this as it sits and open those blades 100%. There's a couple of sketchy ways that we may try it, but there's really no safe way to do it. And realistically speaking, we're going to need a different double adjustable throttle cable to be able to get this thing to open itself the entire way. So it'll probably see another dyno trip at this point in time. But at least as of right now, even only running like 83% opening on the throttle blades, we've gone from 375 to 400. So picked up 25 horsepower so far. So we're going to make another pull and see if it makes any difference, losing a couple of percentage points on the throttle blade opening. We got our 400 horsepower. Now, full honesty here, we did have to get a little bit shady in order to make this happen. So what this actually tells us is there is still power left on the table for replacing this throttle cable. With a throttle cable, it will actually open that throttle blade a little bit further. But when we shimmed that throttle blade, and I think we got to like, what, 83%? 82%, something like that?
Sure, yeah, right around there.
Somewhere in that range. It did pick up 9 horsepower on that pull. So there's certainly some power that's left on the table once the throttle cable is fixed and we can open up. Now the question we were kicking around is, does it make sense to manually force this thing open to 100% throttle blade from 83%? And the answer is maybe. But when it's 83% open versus 100% open, there's not going to necessarily be, especially on an NA car, that much more air it's going to gobble up. So it may give us a couple more horsepower here and there, but we'll find that out later, because we are going to be also putting a new throttle cable on this thing, and then once we get the new throttle cable back, we'll strap it down real quick, make some pulls, and we'll have an honest answer as far as, is it giving us any extra more power, being able to have that go from 75% to 90%. As far as our throttle opening goes. So there you go. It did hit 400 wheel horsepower, and those are SAE corrected numbers. That is not an uncorrected number. So if you go uncorrected number, it actually did even better than that. But it made power where we thought it was going to make power. The extra larger intake and extra larger throttle body did make power on the higher end, as it allowed it to breathe better up there, and it wasn't choking it down like the original throttle body and intake manifold were. So it made exactly what we were expecting it to do. The MSD coils, I'm not sure if they added any extra power, but they do look really nice. So there we go. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. We've made some more fun pulls with the FD RX-7. I guess it's ready to go get abused on the street as soon as it's not cold outside. Yeah. And then maybe some nitrous.
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe. It's a nitrous built motor. It's got nitrous cam in it, so we'll probably put nitrous on it at some point in time. But we'll put a throttle cable on it, and it'll probably be back here eventually at some point in time. And then this thing's also going to do some time attack, you said, this year.
Yeah.
So like auto interests?
Yeah, or middle high school.
Okay.
Or like high performance drivers.
HPDE events?
Yeah, and track day stuff, yeah.
Okay.
And then I want to do time attack with it as well, but I think I need a roll bar for that, or no, maybe not. But I'd probably put one in anyway. Just like a little
hoop.
4-point, yeah, like in the back.
So there's probably some track day stuff ahead for this car too, if you're interested in the FD RX-7. And this thing is pretty much one of the nicest looking LS swapped FD RX-7s you're going to find anywhere. And you're going to see this thing driven in anger in the future. So if you're interested, please do click on that comment button. Drop us a comment in the comment section below. Click on the subscribe button, because why not? You already made it this far. Please do click on that like button. It lets YouTube know that you actually like what we do. And we'll see you for the next project here coming soon. Take care. Bye-bye.